Well, so much for doing these things once a week. Welcome to the Backlog, a series here on the TRG YouTube channel where I catalog and journal, diary, whatever the word is. We go through my backlog and we talk about the kind of progress that I'm making. If you like video game content or even theology related content, why not hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the notifications so you never miss an upload. So back in July, I made a video saying, hey, I'm going to work through my 150 plus backlog of video games in a year and do a new episode here on the YouTube channel every week and update you with my progress. Obviously, that didn't last long. To give you all a heads up, I took a month off from creating content, both podcasts and YouTube related content, just so I could focus on my new career, spending time with my family, and just getting used to a new rhythm of life. But I still have been working on my backlog, and we're going to go over the progress I've made over this past month in this episode of the Backlog. Now, before we get into looking at my GG app itself and going over the progress I made, I do want to let y'all know I did buy a few games over the last month. Granted, it was my birthday, I had some birthday money to spend, so does that really even count? Does it? It probably counts. One of the games that I picked up because I'm into collecting some retro games, especially for my Nintendo GameCube, I did pick up Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes, which is a game that I've always wanted to finish. I've played through the original game on the PlayStation 1, but I picked this up when this is really the first Metal Gear game that I ever even played. I wanted to go back and pick this one up and play it because I never finished it. I never got to the end of Twin Snakes. I imagine it's not much different than the original game, but I still wanted to play it, and I picked it up, and I had birthday money, okay? So what else was I gonna spend on it, you know? Tacos? Actually, that would have been a really good use of my money. And then the second game that I picked up was really actually 4 games in one. It's the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition promotional disc, includes 4 classic games not for resale. That can't be the title of the game, can it? That can't be the title of the game. So I picked this up because, again, birthday money, I was at a retro game store, and I was looking at it, and I was like, man, it's got the original Legend of Zelda, it's got Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. I still have never finished Majora's Mask, but I feel a bit like a chump, and I knew this was going to happen. I knew that as soon as I bought this, Nintendo was going to say, we're going to bring N64 games to the Switch. And lo and behold, earlier this week, that's exactly what they announced. And so I feel a little stupid. But I don't care, because I still own a hard copy of it. So there it is. All right, so let's go over my GG app and kind of go over some of the progress that I made this past month in terms of getting rid of the games in my backlog and games I added or games that I abandoned or games that I just flat out removed. By the way, if you want to follow my progress while I'm going through my backlog here, you can also do this on YouTube, but you can also follow me on the GG app if you have that as well. You guys can just go to ggapp.io, make an account there, and then follow me. My username is right there, the Theologian. Would love to connect with you and see what you're playing. But I'm going to go down to the website here and check out my activity. We'll pull this up so that way we can go through the games that I've played this year. Let's start all the way at the bottom. I'm scrolling through a lot. This is a lot of stuff. Atlanta. How much is there? Is this really what I did all last month? My gosh, I did a lot of work. It's impressive. All right, so for the month of September, here's a few of the games that I had been playing. Ghost Runner was one that I had started up, and then I shelved Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance just because I wasn't really playing it a whole lot. And then I also did the same with Persona 5 Strikers. It's just, I don't know what it was. I just had a hard time getting into those games, and I just figured I'll put them on the backlog or back burner for now, because that way I'll probably come back to them and then be in the mood for those kind of games where it's just mindless action. And so for a while I was playing Ghost Runner. I added Hades in there because it dropped on the PS5, and I actually had a lot of fun getting back into that one. It was really cool. I played this game when it first came out on the Switch, but when I played it on PS5, something just clicked and it hit different, and I started just having fun with the game and really enjoying it. And so that's one that I'm kind of going back to every now and again when I'm, not working on a game that is on my backlog. I did add Psychonauts to my want to playlist just because I keep hearing people talking about it and I want to try it out for myself. So if you're playing it, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I did play through Outer Worlds again during the month of September. I played through the DLC of Murder on Eridanos and the Peril on Gorgon. I'll be honest, Peril on Gorgon wasn't that great. It was okay, I guess, but the murder on Eridanos was really good. I like how they changed the gameplay up and they made you do just more detective focused stuff. It's hard to describe really because it breaks from the gameplay of Outer Worlds in the base game, but in a way that is unique, intriguing, and a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed playing through the DLC, and I can say that those are crossed off my backlog now because I finished those in the month of September. I did add Alan Wake Remastered because, it's Alan Wake. It's an awesome game, and the fact that they announced a remaster, yes, please, I will be playing that. Maybe not when it comes out, but definitely after it releases. It would be a good October game to play for the spooky season. I did remove Killing Floor 2 for a few reasons. One of the reasons is that it's apparently super gory, it's really violent, and I'm like, I'm not in the mood for that. That's just not what I want to play, and I just don't care. And then also because, in case you missed the whole issue with Tripwire and their CEO being removed, I'll spare you the details, but I'll just say that was a contributing factor to me removing that game from my backlog as well. It's also just I don't see me playing it. And I did start playing Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. This was a game that my wife actually recommended I play from my backlog. And I shelved it at one point when I was just going, you know what? I'm not enjoying it. It's really hard. The controls feel clunky, and I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. And then later in the month, I did eventually abandon the game because I had no desire to go back and play it. It just, to me, it was too hard, which doesn't make sense because I played Sekiro. I'm not sure how that works in my brain, but just playing this, it left a bad taste in my mouth, and I just didn't enjoy playing it, which is a shame because I actually really like Scott Pilgrim. But the game itself, maybe if I was playing with friends, I might like it better, but playing it solo, way too hard. Way too hard. Well, let's continue up there. Again, I did beat Outer Worlds. I beat the DLC. I don't know why Psychonauts 2 is showing up twice. That's weird. Okay, now it's just repeating. Okay, now we're in a time loop. This is just like Deathloop, but with the GG app. Okay, here we go. I did have a collection of Indiana Jones games as well on my backlog, but after watching several videos and seeing some gameplay, Retro Rewind Podcast was playing one of these on their Twitch streams, and I tried to play Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. These games do not hold up well. I did not enjoy playing these for what little time I attempted to play these. They're very dated. If they do a remaster or a remake, I'll play it then. But what little bit I played of these, I did not enjoy. I removed them from my backlog because I just had no desire to play these. Sorry, Adam, I'm not gonna play your precious Infernal Machine, but I tried. But continuing on the same theme of like archaeology, words are hard. Continuing on the theme of that, I did have some Tomb Raider games in my backlog, and I was sitting there looking at them and going, wait a minute, I beat Tomb Raider 1 back when it first came out on PC. I beat Tomb Raider 2 through the use of cheat codes, but still, I beat those games. I beat Tomb Raider Legend. I beat Tomb Raider Underworld when they came out. I beat Tomb Raider 3. I was like, why are these on my backlog if I beat these already? So I moved them off the backlog, moved them over to beaten, and then I also moved Tomb Raider Chronicles over to shelved because that's one I know I didn't finish when it first came out. And now it's repeating again. GG. What is going on with your website, my dude? Anyway, these two Tomb Raider games I moved over to shelved. These ones I definitely didn't finish on PC, and yeah, it is what it is. Overlord 2 I moved over to beaten because I beat that back on the Xbox 360. I'm not sure why I had it under want to play when it shouldn't have been. And I did move these two JRPGs over to shelved because I've never finished them. I never finished Blue Dragon, never finished Lost Odyssey. Lost Odyssey I got on the final disc, and I never rolled credits. Why? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But I moved those over to shelved because I'm going to get to those eventually, especially since they are both sitting on my Xbox Series S right now. And Final Fantasy 13 is another one I want to go back to and give it another try because, I don't know, Wesley Ray was talking about the game on episode 198, and I feel like maybe it holds up, maybe it'll be fun, maybe it won't be bad. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And then this is another game that I played and subsequently abandoned quickly. Metal Wolf Chaos XD was a game that was originally released on the original Xbox, and it was never released outside of Japan, and then it got a remaster and was released over here. And it's a game where you play as the President of the United States in a giant mech, and you're trying to take back America from your corrupt vice president who has instituted a totalitarian regime. And it is as bonkers and anime as you can imagine. And for the most part, I was enjoying this game. This game was hilarious. It was fun. It was goofy. It was quirky. It was clunky, because it's an old game. But I eventually abandoned it because the last 3 levels is where the game just falls apart and it is broken. The difficulty spikes so astronomically high and through the roof that it made it just not worth playing anymore. And that's why I abandoned it, because it was cheap. There was a video that I actually have, and I might put it in here as part of the B-roll, where the final boss shot a laser out that if you get hit by the laser, it's an insta-kill, but you have to get hit by it. And so when the enemy shot the laser out, I was like, okay, cool. I'm outside of its range. It's not going to hit me. The laser hit the ground, and then all of a sudden I got a game over screen. And I was like, what? That can't be right. It didn't touch me. And so I was like, if the game can just give me a game over screen just like that, I'm done with the game. I'm not going to play it. So I abandoned Metal Wolf Chaos XD simply because the game is broken. The last 3 levels of the game really just ruin the entire experience of the rest of the game, and it makes it just not worth playing at that point, at least in my opinion. I did abandon Risk System, which was like a kind of like a shoot 'em up sort of game, but it's one where, kind of like Metal Wolf Chaos XD, it had some really weird glitches where the game would just, like, you couldn't move outside of a specific attack, and you couldn't defend against it, and so you would automatically lose a large chunk of your health. And I'm like, I'm not going to play a game that is going to give me an unfair scenario like this. At least with something like Dark Souls or Sekiro, it never felt unfair when I played those games and I got a game over screen. It just felt like, okay, I learned that attack does this. Now I can attack this way to counter that attack and move on from there. This game didn't have that. And I was like, you know what? That's just not fun. Abandoned. I did add Deathloop, Axiom Verge 2 to the want to playlist as well, because I do want to play those eventually, and Axiom Verge is actually sitting on my Switch as well. I did beat Ghost Runner, which was an incredible game. I'm surprised that I beat it because that game gets really crazy at the end, especially with a lot of the platforming. But I did manage to beat it, and I was surprised that I beat it. I feel like I got good. Scarlet Nexus is another one I started, and if you've listened to the podcast, you know that I'm not really digging it as much as I would have hoped. I think the game is flashy and it's fun in that regard, but there's something about it I'm just not jiving with. I'm having a hard time getting into it. And so it might be getting abandoned, it might be getting shelved. I haven't decided yet. But one that I did finish as well was Manifold Garden, which was a really cool puzzle game that uses these, I can't remember what the exact word is. There it is, Esker-esque architecture, where basically, like, it's hard to describe this game. I'll try and put some footage of the game here in the B-roll, because it's really trippy, but it's a really cool game. And if you like puzzles, this is the game for you. I did have to use a guide, though, because the last couple levels were just, I was like, I don't know how I would ever have come up with the solution. So there it is. But I did finish that. And another game I did start up is Ender Lilies, which I'm really, really, really enjoying. This is a Metroidvania game where you play as a young girl who is a priestess, and you're going through this land that is affected by this blight that is corrupting people. So there's a little bit of like a Dark Souls influence in there, a little bit of Hollow Knight going on, you know what I'm saying? But the little girl never attacks, which is interesting. You have 3 spirits that follow you around that you can rotate out as part of your loadout that do different attacks. And as you go through this land, you're using these characters, you're getting new ones all the time, and you're solving puzzles, you're doing platforming. Look, if you liked Hollow Knight, you would love this game. Ender Lilies is really, really stinking good, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I did add Sable to the list, along with Castlevania Advanced Collection and ActRaiser Renaissance, because hot dang, that Nintendo Direct was really, really good, and I want to play these games at some point eventually. But as soon as I want to get more games off the backlog first, and then I'll pick these up and play through those. I kind of have this rule of where, like, I'm going to at least try to finish 3 to 4 games at a time before I buy a new game, and we'll go from there, and we'll see how well I hold to that. And then last but not least, one of the games I did remove from my backlog is called The Somnium Files, which is one I had heard a lot of positive reviews about. at least for the longest time. And, you know, I heard it was kind of like Phoenix Wright, but a little more sci-fi and a little more, you know, anime-ish, and it's kind of has more some dark themes. And I'm like, okay, I might be interested in that. But as I read some reviews and looked at some things about the game and how morbid it is, I decided that's not something I want to play. And looking at some of the screenshots, I was like, yeah, I don't really want that kind of imagery in my head. That's a little, it kind of towed the line. And then when some of the stuff I saw and read pushed it over the line, so I took it off my backlog. I haven't bought it. I did notice it was on sale on the Nintendo eShop for the Switch, and so that's kind of how my month has been. Those are the games I've added to the wish list, so to speak. Those are the games that I've played and beaten and shelved and all that stuff. And then as far as the games that I'm currently playing, are Ender Lilies, Scarlet Nexus, and Hades every now and then, kind of going back and forth. And so I'm playing through these games here and playing those and enjoying them to a certain degree, with the exception of Scarlet Nexus. I'm still trying to get into that one. And I probably should add on here that I did pick up Death Stranding Director's Cut, because I said in my Death Stranding video I was going to play through the game again. And, well, I guess I need to add it to the list. But there's that. And so that has been my really August through September for my backlog. I'm making pretty good progress. I'm pretty pleased with the progress that I've made so far, especially removing the games that I just knew I wasn't going to be into and getting to the point where I'm at now. So hey, if you're going through games in your backlog as well, leave a comment down below. I'd love to know what games you're playing, and if any of the games that you saw that I have on my list or anything like that, maybe you've played and you can tell me, hey dude, you can avoid this, or no, like, no, you need to bump this up on the queue and play it ASAP. Like I said, I would love to know what games you're playing. And as always, if you want more gaming content, or you want to follow my progress as I go through my backlog over the next year, subscribe down there and hit the like button as well. Maybe if you didn't like this video, hit the dislike button and leave a comment with what you think I could do to make these videos better. With that being said, thank you for checking out this video, and let's continue working on our backlog over the next year together here on the channel. And until next month when I do another update video, be a dear, keep it locked here. We'll see you in the next video.